I saw Sonic 3. I think it just came out. Was this its release weekend? But I seen it. So yeah, Sonic 3 came out, and I can't fucking believe it's already been, like, what, 2 years since the last one of these? And already, like, 15 since Sonic 1? Seems like just yesterday they had Gangster's Paradise and a horrid fucking movie monster thing. Everybody's fucking mentioning that already, probably. Just like the rough transition to 3 games, you idiot. And just like the other movies, it's riddled with humor and fart jokes, and it's kind of a balance of being for kids and also for adult humans, I guess. But this movie seemed to actually, like, tone it down, I guess. It had restraint in some ways. It didn't have 40 minutes of Bridezilla. It didn't really have, like, an over-reliance on human plots either, which is kind of funny because I hear the Knuckles show does have almost nothing but humans and maybe, like, 20 minutes of Knuckle. So maybe that's where all the budget went, was this movie. Which, speaking of budget, transition. They went all out with this. Like I said, there's minimal human padding, lots of CG and action and fighting and the Sonic heroes and Shadow and robots. There's a lot of that. And very little Bridezilla. They reference her. There's a moment where Tom, I think, and his wife, I should know the name, but I also don't really care about the humans and their human ways. They have to sneak into the gun HQ, and for some reason that means turning into them, the couple from the Bridezilla mess. Tom's wife's sister and her husband, who I guess was like a gun plant that had been used to spy on them. Maybe they became high-ranking gun people, I don't know. But the main couple turned into them to sneak into gun, and that's pretty much the only reference to them. There's like a joke where the sister, Tom, wife, lady, pretends to have her attitude or whatever to get them through. Because fuck having security clearance, I guess if you yell at the front desk person enough, they'll let you in. But yeah, that's pretty much the only time the humans get used all that much. They're so little here and there, but it's largely Eggman, Grandpa, and the anthropomorphic animals. And like the fights, the action is really well done. Shadow's like teleporting around, beating people up, beats up Knuckle, Sonic, Tail, Supersonic, and it's gonna sound like my mic is not catching the S's. I'm just not saying them because it's funny to me. But Supersonic and Super Shadow end up fighting, and it's really cool, and it's a lot less like Dragon Ball Z fighting than the fight between Smith and Neo in the final Matrix. Well, the third one. I remember thinking that the whole fight. I was like, damn, this should look more like a Dragon Ball Z fight, but that fight in the Matrix did, and they end up fighting like a lot of gun robots and trying to get to the Eclipse Cannon and whatnot at the end. There's just so much. The frames are so dense. And then the end credits has a Sonic R, or Sonic the Fighters, you fake fan. They had been doing credits sequences like using 16-bit graphics in 1 and 2, and in this they use like Sonic the Fighters and kind of reanimate and retell the movie in little chunks. So they really did just like throw money at this movie, which is about fucking time, because you'd think they were doing well, maybe put more of actual Hedgehog in them. The second one did. The first one was just obnoxious. Well, but the second one had Bridezilla. That's enough talking about the budget. Just shut the fuck up. I mentioned Eggman and Grandpa Eggman before, and it was an interesting dynamic in this. Both were super corny and weird. Eggman has kind of grown on me, I guess, and I've learned to tolerate Jim Carrey Eggman. It's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey as Eggman, I guess. It's a take, you know, it's different. And then kind of used on Grandpa Eggman. Gerald Robotnik's still alive in this. He's 110 and it's not explained. I mean, it's just a running joke. Or not even running joke, it's mentioned once. He's 110 and still alive. And at first I thought, oh, he's just gonna be Jim Carrey being Eggman. And he kind of was, but different and older. He actually did play it like pretty differently from how he played Eggman. It seemed like a relative, and honestly, he played off with himself really well. I mean, there was probably body doubles and stuff being used, but he did a really good job acting with himself. And there was a good chunk of the movie that was just that. I mean, there was no Bridezilla because there was 40 minutes of Eggman and Gerald just being an idiot spread across the movie. There's a scene where they like are dancing together to get to the gun HQ vault, and they have suits that are impervious to lasers, and they're I saw a screen cap of it and it made me mad before I saw the movie. I thought, oh great, now there's two Eggmans being idiots. And that's pretty much what that scene was. But Gerald was still, you know, very vengeful, because it's a similar story to SA2. He loses Maria and wants Gunn dead, and she dies very similarly, but I'll get to that. He builds the Eclipse Cannon, or has Gunn do it, in exchange for his freedom. They actually, instead of killing him, they let him go if he gives them the design of the Eclipse Cannon, and they build it to his specifications and keep it underground. And it's not on an arc, it's its own, it's just a cannon really, with like a space station attached, and he plans to use it to just burn the entire Earth. He wants everyone dead. Eggman thinks that they're gonna use it to rule the world, but Shadow and Gerald are trying to get it activated to go blow shit up, just like in SA2, except Gerald's alive to do it. And Eggman and Gerald had been like bonding because Eggman was talking about how he didn't have family and was sad about it, and kind of trauma dumping, he calls it, to Sonic. And he meets Gerald and they start bonding. They do like a whole VR headset thing where they're just doing grandfatherly, grandsonnerly things. So they're bonding, and then when Eggman finds out, you know, the world's gonna get blown up, he's like, what about me? You have me, we're family. And the coldest line in the movie is, you're no Maria, which just crushes Eggman. Gerald was saying, like, I have no family once she died, I have nothing, so I'm blowing the world up. And Eggman's like, well, what about me? And he's just, fuck you. I don't care. He was only really like seeing him as family because they were working together. The minute he didn't, they just butt heads, and he's trying to like get him out of the way and kill him. It's insane, and you feel bad for Eggman because it's like, he found his grandpa, and now his grandpa's just like, you're not my favorite granddaughter, fuck you. But then they have a weird dumb nanomachine fight. Eggman kills him by shoving a Sonic quill up his butt. It makes a fart noise and sends him flying, and it's all supercharged because Sonic is supersonic at the time, even though they're disconnected. But there's a fart noise. Gerald goes into like the reactor that's powering the Eclipse Cannon. Shadow had been like running loops around, and it charged a bunch of energy, and Gerald falls into that, or Gerald farts up into that energy and instantly disappears. I guess he just got incinerated. He's just gone, and Eggman has zero remorse for it. He's just like, I win, yay, and nothing after that. He's not conflicted about it at all. I guess a switch had flipped when he had been told he was nothing. And in the big dumb laser dance scene, he had just used his grandfather as like bait at first to make sure the laser suits worked. So I guess deep down he is pretty evil, but there is kind of that moment where Eggman's like, my grandfather wanted to destroy us all, except he's alive and is confronting him about it. So that is kind of a cool difference, is Gerald is there to interact with Eggman for all of this, and there is no redemption for Gerald. He's just straight up like, we're doing this. We're blowing everything up. Maria's gone. Fuck these humans. I've got nothing else. I don't care. Even Shadow, when he finds out he's turned on him, he's like, well, you were useful to me, and now I'm just gonna kill you too. It's crazy. He makes an interesting villain, and the moment when he's like, I'm gonna burn everything, it was actually kind of intense. That's when Eggman finds out, like, oh yeah, you are gonna blow up the world. So, I mean, it is cool to see Jim Carrey being a villain, and there's a lot of dumb shit up to that and around it, but yeah. When Sonic and when Sonic and Shadow have like a touching moment I'll get into later, it's followed up with like the continuance of this fight between Eggman and Gerald, and he's just spanking Eggman with a giant nanomachine hand. That's just what this movie does.